This is Queen's Blade. I am grinding because this game is ridiculous. And I'm only grinding Lena here. Good game here. It's just stupidly grindy and stupidly hardcore. And then there are these duels, you know, where Lena fights by herself the main boss of a specific stage. And if she doesn't have any items to heal herself, she's fucked. She can't win even if she's over-leveled. I mean, I'm stuck in a battle where I'm supposed to defeat this other boss that's level 9, and she's level 11. And I can't beat her because, you know, I don't have any items. So I'm gonna train to level 12, and once I get to level 12, I'll try not to spend a single item, healing item, so she can be all healed up and all prepared to fight the duel. And the duels are like regular battles. They are like in a certain other game that was recently remastered. What was it called? Oh, that's right, Queen's Blade. That guy is level 9, and Lena is level 10 here. I was mistaken. Well, I leveled up to level 11 once I was doing the battle, you know. So there we go. Only 1 point of experience. Yeah, some of the games here. That's another problem with this game. Some of the fucking enemies on the free maps are level 2. Like, why? If my character is level 10, why couldn't the developers bother putting fucking enemies that are like level 9 or 10 around my level so I could level up faster? No, instead there's only 1 or 2 guys at level 7 or 9 and all the others are like level 2 and I get 1 EXP. It's bullshit. That's bullshit. Have you gotten into real heated arguments with other people over JRPGs? No. I mean, maybe on the internet when I used to read the comments. Back when I read the comments in my videos, I kind of did, but only once. I was the kind of guy that was, you know, there was always these jackasses, you know, getting offended by everything, you know. Since 2017, 2018, or since my slideshows, my videos from, my top 10s from 2014, you know, making some really shitty comments. And back then I couldn't resist. I was like, no. I'm replying to this, you fucking piece of shit. So I replied them, and I'm pretty good at pissing people off, as you may have noticed. So I pissed them off, and they replied super pissed off and took it very personal, you know. And oh my god, that's when I started saying, dude, this is not an argument. This is not a discussion. This is a fucking fight, a battle with some fucking nobody. I mean, you guys can see my face. I'm the guy who's replying to your comment, but I don't know who I'm talking to. And nowadays, you know, I could as well be talking to a fucking AI or a robot. So back in 2019, I gave up. I was like, fuck these people, man. You can't reason with these fucking people. They're all like, no, my game is the fucking best and you're a fucking imbecile. You know nothing about this game. You suck, you're a loser, blah, 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 blah. These fucking monologues, man. And I was like, you know, I have better things to do with my time than having an argument with someone like that. And I just described like 80% of the internet. That's why I gave up. But you mean like in person, having an argument in person and a heated debate with someone about JRPGs in person? I don't think so. I don't like it when things get heated. Like, what's the point? You know, I think it's just better to have an argument but not heated. Even if it gets intense, that's fine. As long as we still find a common ground or respect each other's opinion or something, you know. But when it's heated and people start insulting each other over a fucking video game, I think that's pathetic, man. Crossbell duology, is it on par or better than Sky Trilogy? I think they play almost exactly the same. I don't see a lot of difference. I mean, obviously, Crossbell is an improvement in a few things because it came afterwards. And I played and beat the originals, because right now it will be a bit unfair to compare the remasters of the Crossbell duology versus the original Trails in the Sky trilogy on PSP, you know, so it's unfair. So comparing all the PSP, strictly the PSP versions, you know, technically speaking, I think Crossbell is better, because it's just the game that came afterwards. They improved several things. But in everything else, they play exactly the same. There's not that much of a difference. You know, the battle system is almost the same. The orbment system, walking around town, the enemies in the field, you know, the exploration, it's just basically the same. I think a Crossbell, well, and now comparing Trails from Zero to Trails in the Sky, the first chapter, I think Zero is the better game because the pacing is much better. It hooks you up right from the start, and Sky takes a long time to hook you up. And it's kind of like halfway. I mean, it's just Sky's first chapter is a very slow game. It really takes a while to really start and hook you in, you know. Whereas Zero, I think it just hooks you in from the start, you know, because it's an unusual plot. I mean, you're controlling police officers investigating the mafia. Whereas Trails in the Sky is more traditional, you know, like Lunar or Grandia. It's about the sense of adventure and going out and training to be a bracer, or you know what I mean. So, and that's cool, you know. But Zero has a more interesting, more mature premise than that. But to be completely honest, those are the only two things in which I think the Crossbell duology is better than in the Sky trilogy. I think everything else is better. I like the story better in Sky. I like some of the characters better in Sky. Like, I honestly don't have a very strong opinion on most of the characters from the Crossbell duology. I have a strong opinion of Risha Mao, though. But, yeah, most of the characters, like Lloyd, is kind of like, okay. He's just okay as a main character. Whereas Estelle is fucking Estelle, man. She's just fucking Estelle. Come on! Do I need to explain? Well, she's like god tier level of character, whereas Lloyd is just like eh. And then there's Ellie. Ellie's fine. I like Ellie a lot, but then again, she's like I don't even know what to say about her. Like, okay, you know, she's an interesting character at best. Tio, I know you guys are into your lolis. I'm not, you know how I feel. Even though Tio is not exactly a loli, but she kinda is the girl that looks like fucking 12 in the party, and she's super smart and intellectual. I hate that fucking cliche, man. I don't like Tio. And Randy, I like Randy. You know, I think Randy is a character that I probably wouldn't have appreciated back in the day, but nowadays, now that I'm an adult, you know, I think I can appreciate, even though I'm nothing like him, you know, but I like his character and I like his development. He's the most interesting character in the Crossbell duology, alongside Risha Mao. And when it comes to Risha, sure, she's great fan service, huge fucking massive bunkers, you know, but I think her character and the development she gets is also really interesting, you know. Those two should have been the main characters, not Lloyd, Ellie, and Tio. It's like I have nothing against them, but I'm like I'm not a fan of those guys, you know. And Sky, you got like Stell. Joshua is a little bit generic at first, but once you start finding out the truth behind him, his past, and then I don't know, the Sky trilogy introduced us to the Ouroboros shenanigan organization, you know, and that was like really interesting. That's why it's more special, you know. And we start seeing all these characters like Louis, for example. And then you got like Scheherazade, another great character with an interesting past. She's not one of my favorites though. Olivier, I know you guys fucking hate him, but I think he's funny. I think he's hilarious because he's basically a troll, always trolling everybody, you know. And the Estelle comebacks to everything he says are fucking genius. I love that dynamic, you know, between these two characters. Because Olivier by himself, he's kind of annoying. I don't like him either, but when he's with Estelle, I fucking love the guy. Yeah, so what else can I say? You get Chloe/Claudia, also an interesting character. There's more interesting characters to me personally in the Sky trilogy. Agate, for example, and Tita. I prefer Tita over Tio. Tita at least is cute and acts cute, and Tio is like, you know, oh, don't treat me like a child, I'm an intellectual, super smart girl, like, come on. And Tita is just fucking Tita. She acts like a girl, you know, and she's fucking cute, right? So I prefer Tita Russell. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on and on, right? You get the idea. I like Trails in the Sky more than Crossbell, okay? what JRPGs went too far when it comes to fan service. Well, everybody, I mean, the first JRPG that came into mind immediately was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because it's one of the very few JRPGs, well, not one of the very few, where I actually think the fan service worked against it. I mean, there had been fan service in the Xeno series before, but not in that level. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 just went overboard. And yeah, the girls are pretty good looking and everybody likes them, and they're super popular girls, Mithra and Pyra. Which are, in Japanese, their names are Hikari and Homura, right? So Hikari and Homura, very, very popular characters, but they became popular because they are fan service. But when you play the games, it's kind of hard to take Xenoblade Chronicles 2 seriously because of the fan service. So I think it actually that's an example of a game that went too far with the fan service. Like, I felt, what is this? Xenoblade Chronicles or Hyper Dimension Neptunia? Is this Monolith soft or compile hard? You know what I mean? Another one, yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 went too far with fan service. I love the fan service, that's one of the reasons why I love that fucking game. But I think it hurt the story because it was supposed to be taken seriously, and it's a game with a lot of lore and rich story and narrative. And you got these fucking dumb jokes and waifus that are overly sexualized, and like, come on. God Eater has a similar issue, but I think God Eater stays on point and there's not a lot of jokes. It's more about the humor, in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it's more about the humor, not just the fan service. We've seen like games with like a lot of fan service, but the story stays on point, right? But in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it just goes on and on with stupid, silly, cheesy jokes, And for example, in God Eater, you play God Eater, any of the games, and the fan service is wow! Super wow. But they stay on point. They don't do a lot of jokes. So it's easier to take the story seriously, Anyway, that's a good example of a game that took fan service too far. God Eater, I wouldn't say too far, but maybe a bit far. Kind of like, come on, there's this tragic scene where somebody's dying or somebody's going through some hardcore, or a character like Alisa is revealing her dark past. And the camera does these shots of her ass, of her tits. I'm like, dude, she's telling me her tragic past story. And you want me to look at her fucking tits? So yeah, God Eater is also kind of like that. Like, okay, fine. I'll cry, I'll sob, and then I saw some great bonkers right there, Alisa. Oh, what a sad story. Oh, nice miniskirt. Oh. Come on. And what others? Yeah, but we're not talking about JRPGs with a lot of fan service, because they are fan service games. Like saying, Dead or Alive went too far with the fan service. That's a fan service game. That's what you expect, So those are some good examples of JRPGs that where the fan service went too far. I think another one is probably Death and Request, especially the second one. The first one, not so much, because it still has a lot of humor, and it is by Compile Hard, so there you go. But the second one was like super dark and edgy and fucked up beyond belief. And there were some scenes that are like stupid and funny, maybe to break out of all the darkness. So, okay, I understand that. But it felt out of place, Imagine, I don't know how many of you played Red... Oh, here's another example, but this is more of a God Eater example, like Code Vein, for example. Code Vein, the fan service was subliminal even. But it takes the story seriously. You do get some comedy, but it's super rare. It's super dark and edgy and mature, And yeah, you can enjoy the fan service if you want to, but it doesn't feel like it gets in the way, But I was gonna say that... imagine if Redemption Reapers had fan service. I know most of you didn't play the game, but just imagine that. It would be like, come on. Dragon's Crown fan service went overboard. Yeah, that's another good example, but the fan service in that game is, for some characters, is very grotesque. Like, it's not really fun to look at. A big chunk of it still is, like, oh, we're great, but in other occasions it's like it feels fucking weird. And I don't mean the main characters, If you're into muscular women in a freaking thong bikini, then Dragon's Crown's got you covered. Or sorceresses with huge fucking tits, and when they run, they jump. It's funny. But yeah, Dragon's Crown is another good example of that, Maybe the fan service in that game also went too far. Like, it didn't need... Vanillaware is all about sexiness, So yeah, it needed the sexiness, but not that level of sexiness. It was kind of like unnecessary, But I still like it and I appreciate the art style, I'm a big fan of Vanillaware, so what do you expect? Is Alliance Alive the closest thing to Suikoden? Besides Eiyuden? No. Well, yeah, maybe. It was written by the same guy. How about Radiata Stories? That's also pretty close to Suikoden in the sense that you recruit everybody, a lot of characters. And to how you recruit the characters in Radiata Stories is just like Suikoden. They all have like different missions, different things to do, different side quests, different approach, So yeah, Radiata Stories. Maybe the Fire Emblem games, because you do recruit a lot of characters. Sure, it's different in Fire Emblem, but you also recruit a lot of characters to your army to fight the enemy army, so yeah, the closest thing to Suikoden besides Eiyuden will be probably the Alliance Alive, Radiata Stories, and some of the Fire Emblem games. That's the best I can think of. But in terms of gameplay mechanics, and battle system, and I think they're all very different. Like, the Alliance Alive is more of a saga game. You don't level up, you just increase random stats at the end of every battle. There's no leveling system in that game. Radiata Stories is an action RPG. No strategy things whatsoever, Fire Emblem is strictly a grid-based tactical game, so... My channel in Spanish is called Discusión Gamer. You will find a link to it in the description.